Hey guys! As we are now entering the holiday season, I'm already preparing some pretty cool videos to close the year in style, with further Twitch stream sessions incoming as well. A great thanks by the way to everyone who tuned in so far. It has been an absolutely amazing experience. Now this week, however, we can still sneak in another review from World of Warships, and it's a special one too, cause it's actually the first time that the gameplay is not my own. It's courtesy of Slick, who was kind enough to provide us with a neat 99,000 damage ranked battle in the Minekaze. Many thanks for this once again, bro. Now if you want to jump ahead straight to the sinking ships, the usual timestamp is ready in the description below. Now the review itself will be a little different this time around, as the Minekaze is so bloody similar to its in-game predecessor, the Isokaze at Tier 4. Instead of a full-blown port review, we will focus on the key differences between the two ships. Now if you want a more detailed analysis including the suggested equipment, I highly suggest to check out my Isokaze review, which will still be very much applicable for this ship. The link to it is also in the description. Now before we jump into the comparison, let's actually have a quick look at the story of this historical ship. The Minekaze, roughly translated to Summit Wind, was the lead ship of her class of destroyers, designed and planned for the Imperial Japanese Navy at the end of the 1910s. When the first ships were commissioned in 1920, they were very quick and powerful, and very much on par with their international rivals. During their heyday, they served in the Second Sino-Japanese War, but then during the 30s they were gradually replaced by more advanced destroyers. Unlike the Isokaze class destroyers, however, they were actually called back to service during the Pacific War, in the Second World War. By this stage, the ships were completely obsolete and absolutely outclassed by the newer designs, so they were mostly assigned to secondary roles like patrol duty and convoy escort. Most of them were pretty much massacred by the end of the war by American and British submarines, though a few were actually given as a prize of war to China and the UK after the war. The Minekaze itself was torpedoed and sunk by the American submarine, and I'm going to butcher this most probably, the USS Poggy, on the 10th of February 1944, while on convoy escort duty just 11 kilometers off the coast of Taiwan. Right then, let's continue having a look at those differences then compared to the Isokaze. Don't worry though, the list won't be long at all. Basically, the real differences come down to two main areas, and no, unfortunately the torpedoes are not one of them. They are exactly the same. The areas in question are the maneuverability, where the Minekaze is just plain better with a higher top speed and a sharper rudder shift time, albeit a slightly larger turning circle, and the other difference is in the main armament, where we actually see a downgrade tier by tier. Firing range is greatly reduced to 7.6 kilometers only, and the already bad gun traverse takes a further slap in the face as well, now adding an additional 7.5 seconds to the 180-degree turn time, bringing it up to a ridiculous 30 seconds. Now that's almost battleship territory. Everything else is completely or almost the same, which can be a little frustrating as you don't actually feel more powerful a tier higher. Not to say that you wouldn't have the capability for some awesome destruction, but having the same torpedoes, it still has the same bugbears as well with the torpedo range compared to the surface detectability range, as we will see in a second in the replay as well. Alright, so here we are in a ranked battle this time around. Now I have to admit I actually never played a ranked battle myself, I'm always just hitting the usual random battle button. But looking at it now, it actually seems to be quite a lot of fun, so probably I will check it out sooner than later. Now back to the actual gameplay, Slick has actually found himself here in a tier 6 ranked battle in his tier 5 Minekaze. It's not bad at all, there are still two very juicy battleships that he can target, and oh boy, he definitely will. Now, I have to say this up front, and Slick would probably agree as well, that this is not a textbook and 100% perfectly played destroyer gameplay, but at the same time it will be, I think, a very good explanation for the strengths and weaknesses of this machine. Now in the beginning he goes on a little scouting run, and then turns to try to help capturing the A zone, which is crucial in these matchups, at least I would definitely say so. I'm assuming the starting positions of the enemy team are just on the opposite corner, so probably first steps first, each team has to try to capture its zone and then go against the enemy team after. Now, both destroyers heading into the A zone will actually give a little advantage to our team, because if the other team is a little different, we can capture the zone much faster, as it will just happen in this case as well. There is only one enemy destroyer capturing against our two destroyers, so we will be sooner on our way looking for them, while they will still be very much occupied with capping their own zone. Now, right here in the beginning there is actually a play from the friendly CV player, which I'm really not, well, let's say happy about. He sends both his dive bomber squads to the enemy cap circle, and truth be told, he does spot one of the destroyers. But there we go, we see that the enemy CV player is doing a fighter-only setup, so that means right at the beginning of the match with probably no damage done, 2 dive bomber squadrons dead. It's less than optimal. It's okay to go for a scouting run with one of them, but to launch both, it was probably just a little bit too aggressive. Anyway, our 2 destroyers are now doing their job, and the cap is almost ours. And there is the other DD, as the dive bombers are melting away on the horizon. So, let's see what's on the menu today. It's quite interesting. As far as I did see, the cruisers have not been spotted until now, but they very well could have the same idea as our cruisers, heading for that narrow pass on the other end of the map. 2 battleships in the middle, and yes, there we are, there is at least one of them there, who will soon have destroyer problems. Now we have to be careful about these ships. We can see that Slick has actually not turned off his anti-aircraft guns, which I would definitely suggest to do right at the beginning of the match. I mean, of course, the actual surface detectability range, sorry, the air detectability range and the range of its anti-aircraft guns is not much off, but they would be also engaging those planes if you were hitting your smoke screen, just as now, when it's really important to get off the radar. And it's better if you are in control when you want your anti-aircraft guns to open fire and when not. So I usually forget this as well, I have to admit, but it's an important one to become routine. Now here we see the usual, well, it's a mid-range knife fight, if such a thing exists, between the 2 destroyers, which usually is how a destroyer lifestyle is. At the beginning of the match, destroyers clash, and they try to get rid of each other, as they will be constantly spotting one another. It's very important to never sail in a straight line, not even in a destroyer. You are quick, and you can dodge the torpedoes easily, but why give the enemy a chance? Now, neither of the destroyers have actually much success hitting each other with the torpedoes, and something that I found a little bit surprising is that Slick is really only trying to use these torpedoes and not his guns now. The actual turret rotation speed on the Minekaze is terribly bad. That's absolutely true. But there would be situations, that would be instances where you can turn just slightly to bring those 1 or 2 guns more or less in the right direction. Now, of course, I fully admit it's not easy to dodge shots from several ships while also trying to maneuver and trying to get your torpedoes away. but we could have done some more damage to that destroyer. Nothing's lost, he did not do much damage to us either. And we are doing the right thing here, getting away from all those enemy ships. Trying to limit this engagement to one enemy ship at a time. Okay, right now, shoot it. Those torpedoes will never hit, the guns are loaded, they are actually pointing more or less in the right direction, so this would be a perfect one to shoot a couple of HE shells. There we go. That's the good one. Oh, by the way, and there you see, the turret rotation speed, you have to maneuver. That's your #1 priority. Now we could take some shots here. But the guns will have a really hard time keeping up with the movement. We actually will get some shots into that ship. Sooner or later, there we go. And that's actually a really well placed one. 4 hits. 100% hit chance, and he seems to be... his engine seems to be knocked out, so... it would have been perhaps a good idea to fire torpedoes first. But nevertheless, we did actually do some nice damage to him. And of course he's turning, so that's that. Now, actually, there is a suggestion here, and I really don't want to just go about how I would have done it. I never did actually so much damage as he will do in a game, in my own Minekaze. But when I see that the ship is turning, I will probably fire only maybe 1, maybe 2 of my torpedo salvos. I will keep at least 1 salvo waiting for him to finish the turn. You don't have to fire all those torpedoes at once. And that credit to that guy, he is turning constantly as well, making it really difficult for us to hit him. Well, these are actually good ones. And let's keep on continuing the barrage. Oh, really good shot there from the friendly CV. Wow, that guy has been bombed out of existence in an instant. Okay, so that has been fun, but we didn't do much damage until now, so it's really time to take up those boxing gloves and bring the good news to the enemy. Now it's only 2 battleships left, and we are going to showcase here what a single destroyer can do to battleships if they are not paying attention. And actually these guys, sometimes they do pay attention, other times they just completely seem to forget that there is a destroyer out there hunting them. Now here comes the typical issue, tier 4 and 5 Japanese destroyers. 7 km is your torpedo range, and I would actually be already launching those torpedoes here. That's a good one, because you have to turn away quickly. And as he's sailing, they are sailing both to the same direction. That 1 km range between your surface detectability range, which I think is around 6.1, 6.2. For Slick it's slightly lower because he's using actually camo paint. It melts away super quickly. Now he does score 2 hits, but that should have been much more hits if he would have remained unnoticed. Now an easy way to do this one is just drop your speed. And right now we see him at these turning, so it's a complete waste to fire those torpedoes. There is one more in the tubes, which is good. And I would fire them probably now. He turned, he is slow. Slick is opening the distance here, which is definitely also a good decision. Right, so we are at the range. Limit of the range, I would probably get a little bit closer, so is he. Because the problem is launching at 7 km. If he turns just slightly to the right, all those torpedoes will fall to the bottom of the ocean harmlessly, because they will just run out of gas. And this looks good. Careful though, we are about to get spotted once again. Oh boy, here we go. Have to maneuver, and you see that little alert popping up can be a real lifesaver. That's definitely #1 skill that you should take in your destroyers. And all those torpedoes just passed through the 2 battleships. How did they not hit anything? Now we are still detected. We fire up those torpedoes to the other ship. Now I have to say there have been some replay bugs here. I did actually record this a couple of times because there were so many, and it's still not perfect. Now we can at least see the shots. I'm guessing he did change his aim here to the other ship, and what is that battleship doing? Look at that. Wow. It's a 5-hit salvo, and that battleship did just completely evaporate. Why he didn't change course, although a slick was actually spotted pretty much the whole time, is a really good question. I mean, not that he wouldn't have been harassing them in the past minutes, but hey. Now this battleship is paying attention. He did get spotted. We did get spotted, so he's turning right away. I think that's actually the Warspite, if I'm not mistaken. And the Warspite is capable of some really sharp turns. And also is quite resilient against torpedoes, so we have to be careful with him. Because he will quite easily outmaneuver our torpedoes. And Slick does here something I actually really like. The Warspite seems to be occupied with sinking this... sinking with our carrier. And that's a mistake. You did pick the wrong target, buddy. Here we go. And he opts to basically go all in and close the distance, and the Warspite may be resilient. Balls of steel as those secondary shots, and oh, that was a big hit. Quick repair. All those shots whiz by, but from this range, full salvo of torpedoes is not something that even a Warspite can handle. Thanks for that, Slick. Appreciated, man. So, this was a very quick look at the Minekaze, the Tier 5 Japanese destroyer. Not an exciting improvement over the Isokaze, but it can still make battleships dance, so what the hell. We can live with that 7km torpedo range for just one more tier. I hope you guys did enjoy this short video. If you did, thanks a lot for considering giving it a like or sharing it. There is one more video planned for this Friday, looking at a comparison of the 2 low-tier premium light tanks, the American Locust and the Russian T-127. I can already promise that it will be a lot of fun. Take care, guys, enjoy your well-earned holidays, and I look forward to seeing you again in one of the next videos.